Hey everybody, welcome back to another Film of the Week. Hope you guys been enjoying the content on the channel as of late. It's been a while since we've done a Film of the Week on this channel, and in regards to other forms of content as well, it's been a while. We had a stream of content at one point with Blind Tuesdays and Film of the Week, but I just was kind of in a drought, kind of in a burnt out period, so I just wasn't really feeling much watching movies, and I'm still kind of recovering a little bit. I'm still trying to kind of get back in the swing of things. Just kind of going at a more slower pace, just because with daily life as it is, and wanting to do other things as well, it's like you only have time for so much. So, but I sat down and watched this because my brother wanted to watch it, and he actually read the book on this, and I actually asked him questions during the viewing of this to see what was, accurate or not accurate. My bad, hit the mic. So, yeah, so I decided to check this out today. So, what we're going to discuss today, as as my cat is literally in frame. Uh, oh my goodness, um, sorry about that. Cat's literally jumping around. Um, we're going to discuss briefly here the film Fahrenheit 451, which was, I forget who the hell directed it. I believe he directed a film on Netflix based on my small research, a film called The White Tiger, I think it's what it's called. But this is a adaptation of said book. The stars Michael B. Jordan as well as Michael Shannon, and this takes place in a dystopian future of sorts, where humanity is ruled by a dictatorship and by censorship. So there is a rule, a law that is with no physical books, no books, nothing like that. Can't have them. And if that such a thing is found, they send their fire squad to go and just perform arsenal and destroy the books. Now, Michael B. Jordan's character becomes intrigued by the books and eventually falls into a conspiracy of what may or may not be transpiring in the world at large, and ultimately determining what is the best thing to do, morally speaking. Is it to stay in the system or to stay out of the system and to just kind of become your own person, form your own identity, your own judgments, all that sort of jazz. So in the case of this, I will say I've never read the book, so I can't say how accurate things are. But based on what my brother had told me, there are some pretty distant elements that are made, some very different choices that the book did not make. And just judging by just the layout of what the story is, this concept about interpretation of information, or just basically just the literal of just the handling of information. I think that basic concept, about knowledge itself is not necessarily a bad thing. It's not necessarily a dry, a drier, familiar type of narrative. I think that you can explore interesting themes with that. The unfortunate thing with Fahrenheit 451 is purely to do with execution, because the execution of it is so dry and so wooden and so flavorless, to the point that everything really surrounding it in terms of a direction, everything just feels so purposeless. Like, we're speaking purely on the performances. I mean, there really is not much there. I mean, the chemistry is very lackluster. There really isn't much there to supply it. Like, the same can be said about all the other players at large, like Sophia Botella and all the other main performers. Like, all that stuff, it just creates a big distance, unfortunately, when it comes to understanding the drama at play, which really, again, the drama, when you really get into it, it falls into a physical object. in regards to material, books. And the suggested commentary there is to do with the truth within information. And in the case of what the film is trying to portray, technology can be very manipulative. There's obviously a very blatant political edge to it as well. Very, very, very contrasting of the Republican Party, Donald Trump, especially. There's literal quotes splattered in the film that just echo that of "Make America Great Again" and stuff like that. So it clearly has a political undertone to it that I feel is much too knowing and much too blatant. But discussing purely of what the story is by material, what they're discussing in regards to the books, and I think this might be a fault to the actual book itself that's based on. The idea that a book bears more knowledge than a piece of technology does, to say that it's a black and white scenario, I feel that it negates the real commentary that could be had with this, in regards to information, what is truth and what isn't, because I feel that that's what the film's ultimately trying to do. But the problem is how they judge it, and the problem is how they execute it, and how they lay out the idea of a book to you, because a book is not the pinnacle of information, like, oh, this is it. I mean, deliberately so. I think it's kind of a manipulative thing. They only use philosophy. They don't really go into history, even though they're trying to build us some kind of conspiracy that, oh, well, things aren't necessarily, the way they're telling you, because they're just trying to hide the truth from you. But they never really try to give you the truth, as much as they just throw a bunch of philosophy at your face, a bunch of just monologuing, and it's a missed opportunity. And I think that in doing something like that, to where perhaps not all books have great perspective, perhaps some books are worth burning, perhaps some information is just pure fiction, or the other way around, where it is complete truth, or perhaps you read that fiction and you take it on as your own truth. Like this real gray that the film, I think, had the potential to explore, just does not go for that. It just goes for something much more in the vein of schlock, in the vein of just like, in the vein of just, what's the word I use to describe it? Like in the vein of just like thinness. Like it doesn't go to the depths that I think it could really go, because I believe the concept itself has that potential, even if it is problematic, because I don't think that utilizing the material of books in contrast to technology, I just, to make it as a not showing a display of duality, but more of a sense of like, oh, well, one is true and what isn't. Like, I just don't think that really displays a great sense of depth as much as it is just more confusion. And also, by the structure of the book, what is the book? Like, the actual book, Fahrenheit 451, what is the point of the books if the characters can think for themselves? I mean, I understand if it's like if there's like mind control or some other element that's at play, but there isn't. The characters have their own free will, and they're able to think for themselves. Michael Shannon's character literally starts writing in the film, so it's like, I don't understand what the books then have significance. Like, I don't understand why they'd even be shocked by a book if they're able to write out stuff on paper. It's like, it just becomes more convoluted and more purposeless as time goes on, and the more you just think about it. And it just really starts to display just great thinness and a real just lack of thematic interest. Like, I just don't really see what the journey is outside of just literal information. If it was about interpretation of language, because I feel like that's what the film ultimately was trying to be, but it doesn't get to that place. What it is just literally just what the information is, and it's just very insufficient. And in that, you get something that is just very lackluster, very, very boring, just like frankly just very boring. I just was really bored watching it, and a real like I said, there's a lack of that weightful sense of its concept. I feel that that is there, and it just never reaches those places because it just wishes to play it as a black and white scenario when really it is a gray scenario, and it's a scenario that is completely, completely can be involving in that respect. But as it stands, it's just very blatant, very like politically motivated to some extent, and I just feel as though that it doesn't really provide much color for the film. It's not, if you've seen the movie, it's not a film that soars. It's a film that mostly just burns, and in that you get something that is pretty one-dimensional and frankly just a bit of a snooze, if you ask me. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Fahrenheit 451. I thought it was boring as shit. I thought it had a lot of potential to be something a lot greater, but it chooses to do something very, very purposeless, very just directionless, and you just get something that just really is a question mark in terms of functionality, in terms of what it is trying to get at. It just doesn't really amount to much when it's all said and done. So, but those are my thoughts on Fahrenheit 451. You guys let me know if you guys have seen the film. I believe there's one they made in the 90s. I could be wrong about that. I thought I read up somewhere that there was a film from the 90s. But if you guys are familiar with the novel, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below in regards to the novel. And if you have seen the movie as well, would love to hear your thoughts and comparison to the book and all that. According to my brother, there's been some big liberties and some changes that they made, but you guys know your thoughts in the comment section below in regards to the film and the book itself. And yeah, so that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. And until then, I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye.